Hello everybody, what is going on? I hope you all are doing well, and I want to welcome you back to another edition of the Fragrance Well. What are we talking about today? Today we're going to be talking about springtime fragrances. This is not a ranked list, I just have a list of fragrances here that I think are perfect for the springtime, whether they're just good wears for the springtime or whether they maybe put you in a mindset of spring coming back from the cold of winter. You're kind of coming out of that, just everything's dead, no leaves are alive, they've all fallen on the ground, but now the flowers are coming back, the leaves are coming back, the color is coming back in nature, it's warming up, it's becoming nice outside, you want to go out and feel the nice warm breeze on your skin. That's what I'm talking about with springtime fragrances. We're going to talk about 10 of them right now. Alright guys, so before I get into this list, I do think it is fair to say that these fragrances are not, in my opinion, just specific to springtime. I just think they're fragrances that do wear well in springtime. With that being said, wear what you want when you want. This is not to say you can't wear these fragrances at any other time. They're just fragrances that, in my opinion, I think are very good for putting you in the mindset of spring is in the air. So that's what I compiled this list based on what these fragrances make me think of when I think of springtime. So this is not a ranked list, it's just a list of 10. So we're gonna get it started off with the first one here, and it's gonna be from the house of Parfums de Marly. It's gonna be Greenlee. Parfums de Marly Greenlee. You have to say, man, it's got a clear green bottle, makes you think of greenage, which is, the color of springtime when everything's coming back to life. So it just makes sense, right? Yep. You're gonna get some citrus with this one. It's a prominent note of green apple, some woods, so it's a very fresh and very green scent. It's gonna feature notes of Sicilian bergamot, mandarin orange, green apple, cashmere, cedarwood, petit grain, violet, pomerose, oak moss, musk, and amberwood. Very fresh, very clean, kind of got a shampoo-y type vibe to it, but not in a bad way. That's often used to kind of talk down the fragrances, but this one is done in a way that actually works really well for it. Has great performance, lasts a good long time. Like I said, opens up very brisk and fresh and clean, with a nice green undertone to it. As it dries down, the apple kind of fades away and you kind of get a little bit of a floral touch with some woods. And like I said, there's some oak moss note in there, so you get kind of a mossiness to it, and it just dries down to a nice green, woody, fresh scent, and it lasts a pretty good long time. At least on my skin it does. I get maybe 8 to 10 hours out of this, so it's a really good performer. Once again, this is Parfums de Marly Greenlee. Great option for springtime in my opinion. Okay, next one on the list. This is going to be coming from the house of Guerlain, and this is Guerlain Oud, particularly the Eau de Parfum. At least that's the one I have. This one here, yes, very fresh, very citrusy, nice bright opening. There's a note of rum in here that actually gives it a bit of a booziness, but although I wouldn't really consider this a boozy scent, definitely puts you in a mindset of springtime. It features notes of lime, peppermint, rum, floral notes, patchouli, cedar, and vetiver. Yeah, this is a very classy, fresh scent, something you would really expect from the house of Guerlain. They do make very quality scents in my opinion. And from these particular styles, they just speak of a sophistication, but also usability. I love spraying this one on a nice kind of warm day. The lime and peppermint really adds a nice briskness to it. As those top notes start to dry down, you really get just a nice mid of floral notes. It just, it's a nice, clean, fresh floral accords that come across, and then as you get into the base, the patchouli and the woods and the vetiver just make for a very nice, enjoyable scent on its dry down. Performance on this, I get maybe 6 to 8 hours out of it at best, depending on how much I spray it. But I really enjoy wearing this one. If you haven't checked this one out, try to. It's kind of tough to maybe get a sample of it just because it's not really sold heavily in the States. But if you can't find it at discounters, it's not that expensive. I think it's a great pickup. One I didn't really appreciate until I had worn a little bit more as I got deeper into my collection. So check it out if you haven't. Once again, this is Guerlain Oud, and it's the Eau de Parfum. Next one on the list is a scent that really would work at any time of the year. Definitely one of the most popular fragrances from the particular house, and it's coming from the house of Mancera, and this is Guerlain Intense. Certainly one of the most anticipated releases from Mancera in the year of 2021 and kind of going into 2022, depending on when it became available. In the States, it was more of a 2022 thing. Yeah, this one is all about the citrus and the fruits, very bright and kind of tart opening. Patchouli in the dry down. You got a little bit of oud in this. There's some leather in here. It's a really well done scent. I think it's a great improvement over the original. The official notes are Sicilian citrus fruits, spices, blackcurrant, patchouli, leather, Cambodian oud, jasmine, Indian sandalwood, ambergris, white musk, vanilla, and oak moss. I actually gave this a wear a couple of nights ago and it wore just really nicely on my skin. It was kind of a warm night, but not too hot. I'm actually in Florida, so you know we get some very hot nights here, but it hasn't really transitioned into that part of the year yet. We're still getting cooler nights, so you know it's a great time to wear something like this that actually has a little bit more richness to it compared to the original Cedrat, you know, which it's not thin or anything, but I just like this one a lot better. Performance is great on this one. Longevity is great. You get a nice projection from it. It is an extrait de parfum, so you know it sits a little bit closer to the skin than the original Cedrat does, but at the end of the day, this one still gets the job done. Definitely puts me in a springtime mindset because of that tartness in the opening and the fruity notes, as well as some of the deeper, more rich, earthy, somewhat floral and sweet notes that come into the dry down. Great pickup. This is Mancera Intense Cedrat. Since we're talking about Mancera, I might as well mention the next one. I got two Manceras on this list. Didn't do that on purpose. I just kind of realized it just now. One of the ones that I think is one of the most interesting scents coming from the house, and also one of the most unique, and I definitely don't have anything else like this in my collection. This is Oud Lemon Mint from Mancera. Certainly one of the most popular from the house, and with good reason. Citrus in the opening, very fresh, a little bit of cleanliness, but also very rich, a little bit of sweetness to it. And there's also some oud in this, but it's more of a supporting note. It's not very strong. It doesn't come off as very barnyardy. It's not overpowering. It's just giving it a little bit more of a push, if you will. Official notes are Sicilian lemon, coriander, black pepper, almond, jasmine, patchouli, oud, mint, leather, amber, Haitian vetiver, white musk, and vanilla. One of the things I really like about this scent is after I've had it on my skin for about 4 hours, I really get that leather accord coming out, and it just kind of takes it in a different direction for me. At first, it's very brisk, very sharp with the lemon and the citrus. The almond adds a nice, you know, kind of creaminess to it. And then the patchouli just adds that earthiness to it, which kind of puts me in that springtime mindset again. But when the leather comes out, it just kind of takes it in a more of a dark turn, and I really like that about it. There is vanilla in it, and you know it can come off a little sweet, so that's why I think it's a great addition for springtime, because this could be a little rich for some people, say in the summertime. It can be pulled off in the summertime, but you might want to dial the sprays back, just my opinion. But a very complex scent, definitely goes through phases. It's not one note, and I love wearing it, and I look forward to wearing it as temperatures continue to rise here. Once again, this is Mancera Oud Lemon Mint. Okay, man, let's get a designer scent in here. I apologize, guys. I realize this list is actually very niche heavy. I didn't do that on purpose. I just picked out scents that I thought would go great with this video topic, and I realized I didn't really pick out very many designers. So let's get a designer in here. This is going to be coming from the house of Givenchy, and this is Gentleman Eau de Toilette Intense, or just Gentleman Intense. I really love this scent, man. Very spicy in the opening, very fresh, but also powdery, because the iris is obviously the featured note of this line. The iris in this one is kind of reeled in from that real rich makeup-y iris, and a little bit fresher take. So you could call this the fresher take on the Gentleman line from the Eau de Parfum forward. This one's going to feature notes of bergamot, cardamom, basil, blue iris, cypress, cedarwood, and coumarin. Got the 50 ml bottle here. I really wish I had gotten the 100 ml. I think my favorite notes with this one is the cardamom and the basil. I love the spicy kind of green aromatic opening that this has that really just freshens it up and really just makes it a great wear from this line for warmer weather, but particularly springtime in my opinion, because this one still has a good amount of sweetness to it that, you know, maybe in extreme summer heat might still be a little too much. But that being said, I think this is just a great addition and a great wear for springtime. If you haven't checked it out already, definitely do so. This is Gentleman Givenchy Eau de Toilette Intense. Alright guys, we're going to move on with the list here, and we're going to move on to one that I think is highly underrated in my opinion, but I understand that this one is not a big one in the fragrance game, particularly not in the community, but I just think it's an awesome scent and I think it's perfect for springtime. It's going to be coming from the house of Mason Francis Kirkjohn, and this is Amorous Homme, the Extrait de Parfum. The EDP I think is a little more widely known just because it is known as a really nice fresh scent. This one does keep that freshness, however, obviously ramps it up a bit so it's a lot richer, which I do like scents that are richer, and it adds primarily a note of cinnamon that just gives it a little bit of spice off of the top. It's going to feature the notes of mandarin orange, cinnamon, saffron, iris, tonka bean, amorous, and vanilla. Amorous obviously being a note that's not commonly used in fragrances. Even by itself, I don't really know exactly what it smells like. I'd have to look into it a little more, but I have kind of looked up, you know, what it's supposed to smell like. Supposedly it's kind of got like a slightly sweet, balsamic, earthly, rooty kind of scent to it. But I love it in this fragrance, that's all I know. I actually did a happy dance right there in Neiman Marcus the first time I smelled this and automatically knew this is one I definitely got to get in my collection. I'm happy to have it. Definitely makes me think of springtime. I love the opening. It just has a nice spicy but fresh pop to it that puts me in a nice mood. Love smelling it from the atomizer. It lasts a long time, projects nicely. It's a really good scent. If you haven't checked it out already, definitely give it a try. Mason Francis Kirkjohn, Amorous Homme, the Extrait de Parfum. Okay, the next one on this list I think really screams springtime in my opinion, but it can be seen as a year-round scent, but I think it really captures the essence of what springtime is. This is going to be coming from Bond Number 9, and this is Lafayette Street. Lafayette Street, Lafayette Street, Lafayette. I forget which one is the proper enunciation. This is a tester. I don't have the cap. I'm just going to spray it here. Yeah, because the dry down does not stay on. Very fresh opening, sweet, has a nice kind of effervescence to it. It's going to feature notes of bergamot, coriander, floral notes, ambroxan, apple, vanilla, dry woods, tonka bean, and ambergris. If you ever find yourself in any of your higher end department stores, you know, your Neiman Marcus or your Bloomingdale's or Saks, and you walk up to the Bond Number 9 counter, all the salespeople are going to tell you that, you know, Lafayette Street is the most popular seller. And I think for good reason. It's very mass appealing. It's very uplifting. Has a very nice sweetness to it, so, you know, gives it that kind of a modern feel. The ambroxan obviously kind of helps give it that kind of mass appeal. You know, ambroxan is often found in your mass appealing scents. I will say the price tag on this one, I don't think it's a good price tag. I think it's like $420 at full retail. But luckily you can find it marked down quite a bit on a lot of discounters and other online niche sites now, so that's good. But yeah, I think this is a really great wear for springtime. The apple in it gives a nice fruity touch to it, so it makes you think of, you know, fruit blooming on trees that you know, produce their fruit in springtime. The floral notes, it's very floral fragrance, so, you know, you really think, you know, flowers blooming in the springtime. Great for like the slightly warmer weather. Nice woody dry down with a nice vanilla undertone. This one also goes through a nice transition to where that vanilla really starts to pop as it really dries down on your skin, and I gotta say, it just smells awesome when it does that. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, do so. I think it's a scent from Bond Number 9 that, you know, is worth at least looking into. Once again, this is Lafayette Street from Bond Number 9. Alright, next up on the list, this one's going to be coming from the house of Aqua de Parma. It's coming from the Blue Mediterranean line. Definitely one of my favorites from this line. I had to get this as soon as I got a chance to put my nose on it. And this is going to be Fico di Amalfi from Aqua de Parma. Fico di Amalfi. Citrus, fresh, creamy from the fig. Little bit of spice and just some woods to support it. Really well done fragrance. It's fairly simple, but it just works for me. I love the watery freshness I get from this scent. I love the citrus opening, and I just love that creamy fig note in here. If you've ever had a fig, it's a very juicy, creamy fruit that's very interesting, very unique. Not a lot of fruits are like it, and this one really kind of captures that for me. And I don't know when figs go into bloom, but I think they are kind of a late spring, early summertime fruit. I might be wrong on that. Do not quote me on that. I did not do any research on that, but really puts me in a springtime mood. And you know, this one also is really great for summertime as well. Features notes of lemon, bergamot, grapefruit, fig nectar, jasmine, pink pepper, benzoin, cedarwood, and figwood. In my opinion, you just can't go wrong with a scent like this. Really, just about every fragrance from this particular line from Aqua de Parma would work for spring and summertime. That's kind of what it was going for. Brisk, fresh, uplifting, bright opening fragrances that are great for warmer weather. This one is Fico di Amalfi from Aqua de Parma. All right, the next one on the list is one I am really looking forward to wearing as it begins to warm back up here, which to be fair, it already kind of has. It is Florida after all. You know, we don't get that much cool weather here, but we have had some pretty good fall weather and even winter temperatures at times this year. So, which I do like. I like the break from just the overwhelming heat and humidity that we get here. This one's going to be coming from the house of Givenchy. This is Uden Overdose. I really like this scent. I can't speak to how this one compares to the original Uden. My understanding is it's fairly similar, and owning both might actually be kind of redundant, but I imagine maybe this one is just a little bit richer, if you will. Lemon, bergamot, ginger, tobacco flower, coffee, amber, musk. If you haven't noticed, the central theme between a lot of these fragrances is they all have very citrus heavy openings. So yeah, lemon and bergamot in this one. Obviously you're gonna get a nice bright citrusy opening. The ginger in here gives it a nice spicy touch, and the coffee and the tobacco flower come together to create this real creamy, still citrus, somewhat floral forward mid. And then you have just amber and musk in the base, and it just creates a nice bed that gives it a nice subtle sweetness and kind of makes it stick around for a while. This fragrance does perform very well. It is a good performer, projects nicely. Really makes me think of springtime. I'm a coffee drinker, and I drink coffee any time of the year, but you know, I do think about like, what do I want to feel when I'm drinking my coffee at certain times of the year? And you know, sometimes maybe I'll put cinnamon or other things in my coffee that might accentuate that. To me, this is a scent I would really enjoy smelling while I'm drinking coffee, if that makes sense. Maybe I'm just a weirdo. Very rich fragrance that, you know, keeps you in that springtime mindset where, you know, you don't want it too fresh or too bright because it's not ridiculously hot out. So, you know, I would say this is definitely shines in kind of your spring and your fall time temperatures where, you know, it still gets a little warm, but it's not overwhelmingly hot. Really great release from the house of Givenchy. This is Uden Overdose. Okay, and finally we're on to the last one. This one I think is going to be one of the more challenging scents on here because it is very rose forward, which if you're not someone who's really spent time getting used to rose or just don't automatically like it, you know, this may not be the scent for you, but I think the scent is beautiful. From the house of Amouage, you know, a house in my opinion that doesn't miss much, this is going to be Lyric Man. Lyric Man, gotta love the very dark, clear red bottle. Doesn't really speak springtime, but I just do like the bottle. Yeah, like I said, this one is extremely rose forward. It also has a lot of spiciness to it. It's going to feature notes of bergamot, lime, angelica, galbanum, ginger, nutmeg, orange blossom, rose, saffron, musk, pine, sandalwood, vanilla, and frankincense. Very oriental style fragrance here, very Middle Eastern style fragrance as you would expect from Amouage, especially the older releases. This one has a very jammy type of rose, and one of my favorite notes in this is nutmeg. I'm actually a really big fan of nutmeg in fragrances. It's not a note that really gets talked about all that often, but it is used enough to where it's not incredibly rare, but I love nutmeg in fragrances, and that's just one of my favorite fragrance notes. I'm just starting to realize that any fragrance I've smelled that has nutmeg in it, I tend to like it. With the bergamot and lime, this does have citrus in it, but it's not very citrus forward. You immediately are gonna get the rose and the spices from this. Like I said, it's a very jammy rose, very rose forward. You got some saffron in there as well to kind of spice it up even more. Not an overly sweet scent. It's definitely more floral. You're gonna more florals and spices with this one. But I'll tell you what about this one, man. It performs like a beast. Performs really well, projects really well. Never had to spray more than 5 sprays with this. And even that might be going a little overboard. I think the only time I ever sprayed that much was because I was doing something where I was a little bit more active. So I figured it might, evaporate off my skin a little faster. It's the men's version of a rose beast fragrance, in my opinion. If this happens to get on your clothes or gets on some other kind of article, it's probably going to be on there for a couple of weeks. So if you like performance and you like a projecting fragrance, this is going to be a good one. Once again, this is Lyric Man from Amouage. Alright everybody, that's going to do it for this video. That is 10 fragrances that I think are great for springtime. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments. Did I miss on some of these? Are there some I should have added on? Feel free to let me know, man. This is an open conversation and a never-ending world of fragrances. I hope to see you in the next one. Have a great day.